Okay, hi there guys. Sorry to keep you waiting there. Now, am I coming through loud and clear, guys? I've got a feeling I've got a new internet here. We've just moved places, so I've been slowly trying to hook up the ADSL2, and I think there's something wrong. So we're having may have a few problems with streaming. If it doesn't come clear, I may have to just step off for a couple of minutes just to get the other computer set up and just go through the mobile phone. So let me know, guys, if you're having a few issues just with the stream, if it's not that clear, if it's not coming through, because it's probably going to be buffering here and there. Can you hear me loud and clear? Okay, is it not that clear, guys? Well, let's see how we go. If it is a bit of an issue, just let me know, and I will just flick over. I'll just turn my phone on. Seems to go through the mobile a lot better going through 4G than the ADSL2 at the moment. The download speed is horrible, and Optus can't tell me what's going on. So there could be a few, and it's the same with the upload speed. So it could be a few issues just with the stream, but if it is a bit of an issue, it's too much of an issue, that could be me. It's a new room, it's a bigger room. That's probably the echo. All right, let's see how we go. And it's probably me speaking into my new office. Spent all weekend setting up a new office, so putting in a new desk, painting. So it's all nice and fresh here. Except I haven't got the video up and running just because I just didn't want to put too many things on the computer while the buffering speed is bloody hopeless. So we'll see how we go. Well, anyway, welcome to TradeSetup and the live stream. It's the 13th of November. So another step closer to the end of the year and Christmas. The markets, look, they weren't too bad. Actually, they were down a bit on Friday night. I was going to say not too bad, but I think it's a fairly healthy correction. The US is still concerned about the tax reform, and they take a step closer and then they turn around and take a step back again. G'day, Colin. Yeah, that's true. A dad joke. I'm running skint on dad jokes. I think the kids are killing me. I'm a bit too tired at the moment. All this moving house is bloody hard work. Yes, the US. Not a big night. Obviously, they backed off a bit, and I think a few people. It's probably more of the healthy correction. I think you've got a few momentum traders, just probably getting caught and just closing out a few positions. That's probably just easing off the market, but probably we'll see how the US goes anyway. But that's what seems to be a bit of a backing off over there. But our market's actually not too bad. We seem to have backed off on Friday on the SPY, and then sort of popped up into the close, and then we popped up into the close of the US. So it's not the actual. We're not doing too bad. It doesn't look too bad on the. I'm looking at the 30-minute charts anyway, but the ASX is still hanging around any of those highs. Probably still gunning for that 6,000 level. It'll be interesting to see how that goes. Close that down. Let's actually have a look at the markets now. How's the stream going? Is it holding up there for you? Minimize a few things there, guys. Now, there we go. So you can see the Dow. Well, you can see how slow it is. It's not instant like it was. Anyway, go to the last 6 months. You can see it's a big down day on Thursday, and then pretty much an inside range on Friday. So it wasn't a big move on Friday down, and the same with the S&P. Much of the same sort of price action once it loads up. Inside day again. So you can see there's a bit of rejection there, but that doesn't mean too much. Could grind lower, but we may. It's still, I think the key level is just down on the S&P now, just below 2550. So still got a bit of room to move. See how it goes. but still that uptrend's well and truly intact on the daily. The weekly's still strong. Same with the Dow. That looks like it's starting to curve over a bit, but there's no, for me, there's no, this is only a minor level just about where it is, say 23,300, thereabouts, 350. These little support through here. It's not a key level at by any means, and it may just have, we may see more of a complex correction, meaning something like this, and it could just have a complex correction and go sideways. They don't have to roll over like everyone's banking on. It can correct sideways and then just drag it in, and you get all those sellers that start to load up thinking we're going to get all the bears essentially. Not so much sellers, but people just looking for that big move down. It could just be the fuel to get squeezed back out on the upside. If we get this type of correction, now if we start to see some sharp moves lower, it may be a bit of a different case, but really the US itself, I'm not going to, you can't say they're going bad. They've still got some good growth figures. You know, you're still looking at raising interest rates. Now, you don't raise interest rates if it's a bad economy, if you've got something to worry about. So it's still, they're still ticking away quite nicely. It's just that the market is it's just ready. Everyone's sort of expecting a correction of some sort, whether it's, like I said, sideways or we get a big sell-off, or really it's just rotation. The market sort of stays there. Who knows just yet. But our market itself, the XJO, what are we up to? Haven't looked at that for a little while now. Well, that looks good. I was going to say it had a big gap up. So this is the daily, and you can see we've gone through 6,000. Whether we're just going to hang around here, or we may, especially, it's hard to say. After, you can see we corrected sideways around 5,900. We've got a bit choppy there, and we've just extended up to 6,000 just through to 60.50. Now, what was that longer term figure? 6,000. So we've just popped our head through 6,000. Like I said, whether or not we stay above here or we go on with it a bit, my guess is that we might just pop a bit higher, and then you get a few, those late breakout traders, squeeze them back out with a little move lower. But that's really just, the markets tend, especially on the indices, futures, if you've traded futures before, they do it a lot. They'll pop through a level, squeeze out a few people, and just on a bit of a pullback, and then go again, and all those people are ready, then they jump back in and just start pushing it higher. It drags in a few more buyers as we get a higher low. So the indices do that quite a bit, and you can see it's just gone through that 6,000 level. So we could see a bit of that sort of action, pop its head through, bit of a pullback, build a higher low, whether it just goes sideways like this. It's a decent enough correction, something like this, way back at the start of the year, when it traded around that 5,600 mark, and then start heading higher. Yet to be seen, but that's a nice healthy leg up. Like we said before, you'd probably expected, this is the kind of leg that would have caught a few people off guard, and you had a lot of people through here since, what was it, about 4 months, 3 to 4 months of action going sideways. A lot of people starting to get skeptical, thinking it's going to roll over, getting caught and squeezed back out of the market. So they're not as structurally sound when you see things like that. They don't just build your little high and low to give you a good heads up that it's going to go. They just go on without yourself half the time. 6th of November. John, is that, what graph is that? Is that mine? I'm showing it. 13th. Is that on the ASX200, is it? So I just ask a question, we've got a good chance to have a coffee. Oh, we've got better stream health, so it's going along okay. We're hanging in there. Yeah, okay. I haven't got it up. I'll have a look. Seems chopped off. Right, let's just see if I can get it up without killing the stream a bit. I'm just going to see if I can get that chart up to see what's going on. Oh, that's not it, is it? Just bear with me a second here, guys. It's kind of weird. My computer's going great guns when it's got nothing to do with the internet, and you're just jumping around on chart within the hard drive. It's fast. It's nice, like usual. But when you're getting onto web pages, God, it runs a bit slower. I might just have to look at that a bit later, John. It's just taking time, and I think it's just going to slow all the process down. Yeah, I'm just worried. Sorry, John, I'm just worried about the stream dropping out if I open too many. You know, try to confuse the internet too much. Download's struggling. Anyway, where are we? We've got ASX still looking good. Let's just look at a weekly. So you've got that all important. We could be, these highs are sort of the only real next level that we could be heading to, up towards 67, 6,800. What other exact highs? 68.50, so. I mean, it's still a long way off, but this type of price action looks quite good. If you just do a quick little measurement. I don't know if anyone's followed us for long enough to know how I like to measure what's happening. So if we take that as the initial leg up and you sort of project it out, that's probably going to take us to the new highs. You can see from that low to that high is roughly 4 to 6, 2,000. And if we take that low of somewhere around 48, that's the 68. So there you go, bang, right up towards these highs up here. So if you can see what's happening there on a monthly chart, that's not looking too bad. That's looking prime for continuation on a monthly. And that would take us up to the highs, maybe wash out the highs, maybe fall short. But between here and there, there's 700 points up our sleeve that we can play with. If that's the case, if it does continue on like that, you can see this weekly still looks quite good. Good, healthy correction back in 2015, back down to the start of 2016. And we've just seen, we've seen a good little pop up. It's not really even a complex correction. That we only, on the weekly, only went back down to test that anchor level, your pivot level, whatever you call it. And then we started heading up, got to just below 6,000. And then we backed off from there, built that major high low on the weekly. And then we've just accelerated through 6,000 now. So just dropping down to the dailies, I think we may need a bit of correction, a bit of a pullback, just to wash out a few of those late buys, put them back on the sidelines, and then get that fuel to come back into the market to continue on to new highs. And see if we can really target over the next few months 6,800. That'd be interesting, which would suggest that the US is going to keep going. Who knows? Who knows? Hang Seng. Look at the speed in that computer. That's on new highs. I think most of the Asians are Nikkei, Asian indices. Nikkei, I think, is as well. That's going on strong. Let's look at the FTSE European indices. Yeah, FTSE's just backed off from those highs. It's nothing too concerning. They tend to do it a bit. You can see where the market's pushed up off this high, backed off, traded through new highs. It's come back. It's only just got through there. So what they tend to do, if it can't get through the highs in more of a convincing move, it may just correct a bit lower, wash out a few people like it did just here. You can see it's just popped up to new highs. Nothing convincing. Was trying to go again. Had to have a deep correction, retest those lows at 71 just here. We may have just dropped out. Just bear with me. Oh, no. Way behind, aren't I? All right. Yep. So retest those lows and then push back up to 7,600. Sorry guys, just watching the stream where we're at the moment. If it seems okay, there might be a big lag in this, so if you do put up any questions, then just be prepared to be waiting a few minutes before I think it catches up. So anyway, Thursday we'll change things up. I'll get it sorted out. I'll be going on my phone on Thursday. So you can see on the FTSE, do that same sort of thing. If it can't get up and go on with it strong through the highs, it'll have a deep enough correction just to wash out a few of those late buys and then pop up again. Did the same thing, tried to go up here, had to have a decent enough correction, retest these, down towards these lows, and then it's gone up. So maybe it's just doing the same. It's just got to correct a bit lower, wash out a few of these late buys, just as it pops up a little tiny bit through the highs, and then we could kick on with it. The DAX is again slow, and it's not looking too bad. That's kicked on towards. So it's a couple of down days. Last couple of days, I think Thursday was a horrible day. 220 points down. but it's still it's got to really just below that 13,000, that little minor anchor level. If you extend this out, it could have a fair bit to go. So they're all heading in the right direction. Now let's look at what we've got. Okay. All right. Now this is APT. There's a few of ours that have gone. This has gone quite nice. I'm going to go through a couple of hard. Was it tough love? We're talking to Helen just recently, or just today, about we're going to start a new website. I can't say what it's called, but I think it's not a bad idea. Traders.com. Just on the ones we've missed, we've had a couple that have gone on really strong, and even though we've talked about it, just either missing the entry, missing the alerts. But I mean, that's the way it goes. That's part of trading, but we'll talk about that in a minute. Ones that are going well, we've got APT, Afterpay. That you can see that little pop up through the highs just recently. I was on the 7th, backed off from the highs, but didn't go too far. Held the high low and then started picking up, and today's been quite a good day. That's up 5%. I think it got on a bit stronger than that. 5.94, so it's nearly cracking that $6 level. APT's looking really strong. Really like it. We've got taken a partial on that, and we've got our look. I'm debating on the stop. Anyone that is following this one here, APT, let's just make this a bit thicker. I'm debating on whether to put that stop back down at around 5, the final exit, and just giving it a bit more room to move. That way below here, if we get tagged on that one, something's not quite right, and we've been proven wrong. At the moment, it's around 5.33, just below this low. It's a low of 5.37. I'll put it just below there, but I think, look, that's a bit too tight at the moment. It's seeming like it's a bit too tight at the moment, so I think I'm just debating on adjusting that one. So just keep an eye on that if an alert comes out on APT. May just move that back to the 5. I know that's giving up a few cents, but I mean, it's a profitable trade anyway. But I just want to give it some room to move and not get nabbed on a bit of a pullback like we have. Well, this is a hard luck story on Elders. Look at that, up. What are we up? It's been up over 11% today. It got to 77 highs, you can see. That's kicked on strong. And we're at 563 at the moment. Now we had a buy at 496. I can't remember if we took a partial on that one. I don't think we did. I think we tightened up the risk to just below this low here, which really wasn't, that's not a key low. If you can see, let's get it on this one. Now we had our stop just below that low, 503, but pretty much at $5, just to lock in a few cents, not a loss. We got nabbed on that. It really should have been below this one, because that's just a minor level. You can get, it's just washed out the highs and come straight back down, washed out a few more people. It's really just a reversion to the mean type of trading. And, you know, those little setups where people buy on the break, they get washed back out with it and they get stopped below, you know, the higher low here, which we did essentially. We just got lucky enough to get in a bit earlier. So it wasn't a loss as such, but it's one of those ones where you kicked yourself. It's really just a mistake of where I stopped pretty much. And we talk about that quite a bit, I guess, how important it is your stop placement, and you want to put it in the zone where you have to be proven wrong. If it nabs you, you're proven wrong. And the market, something is happening that is not going to plan, if that makes sense. So it's not what you expect. And putting it in the wrong spot, you can easily get tagged sometimes on your stops if you put it too tight, and if it's not on the right sort of anchor level. I like to keep mine, like I said, below the anchor levels. And if you can see what I'm talking about, the market's corrected lower. We've broken out of that downtrend. We're starting to head higher or just go sideways. And at the moment, the market spent a lot of time here just chopping around. Say between 480 and just below 490, 495. Chopped around here for the good part of a month. And then once you got that type of price action, after breaking up out of a downtrend, all you really need is a break through the highs, and then you know you're pretty much just good confirmation that you're going up. You're not going to go into, you know, sideways price action where you're just going to range trade, between highs and lows where this could have rolled over. Because it actually broke up to the highs, we got in here quite nice. Nice little entry, but what I'm saying, you know that you've got some good confirmation that the market's heading higher. But that's pretty much your key level, because at this stage it's really not confirmation, it's just continuation. You probably need more of a corrective price action just to put a few more players on the sidelines before essentially jumping back in again. So they're fueled to come back in anyway, and we got nabbed on that stop. So it's really important, and it's probably a key thing with trading too, isn't it? What do you reckon, Helen? Yeah, it's very true. So what Helen said is you end up with a very small position sign with stops so far away. It's always a dilemma. So it can get tough. Sometimes you've got to take on a bit too much risk than what you want. But ideally, there's going to be times when it suits and it's quite clear to tighten it up, and there's going to be times where it's just not. Tightening it up on this one, to $5, really, for me, it was probably more a mistake than anything else. It was looking like it was going okay. On the weekly, there's no real reason to tighten it up. On the daily, no real reason to tighten it up. It should have just been left, let it correct, and then go. And then if it makes a lower high, so at this stage, if we got up to say 520, I think it's 525. Say it was 525. Those highs, 524. If it got up to 524, pulled back, and we were held in here because we had our stop load. It started going again. If it made a lower high here and couldn't get back up through those highs, then something's not right. And it's a bit of a heads up there. Pull the pin. Let's lock it in. Let's lock in some gains at least and just see what happens from there. But instead of just punched up through those highs. And that was really just the oomph it needed. That little washout of some of these late buys above $5. A bit of a washout, put them back on the sidelines, and then bang, straight back up again. And you can see it's just taking out these highs at 560. So, I thought I'd share that one with you. I only saw that today. I hadn't really taken much notice the last few days of elders, but that's one where you got to shake your head. There's those ones that you think, oh, it could have been a lot better. Would have been a 10 or 15% trade. We would have been up at the moment instead of just locking in a 3-cent gain or 4-cent gain. All right, just checking out where we are at the moment. Oh, miles behind. Sorry, guys, it looks like what I'm talking about is miles behind what you're seeing. And I've got a feeling I answered Helen's question on elders for another one. All right, we'll just keep talking anyway. I'll keep plugging through. What I'd suggest is probably start to put in a few of stocks that you want to look at. What I'll do is I'll talk about them. And I know there's going to be quite a bit of lag. It looks like, unless it's just me, actually, let me just put it on my phone. Give me a tick. Just give me 1 second there, guys. What I'll do is put it on my phone and get it going through the internet. Sorry, get it going through the phone. That way I can see exactly if it's just my computer that I'm seeing it lagging or if it's everything. All right. Actually, no, it doesn't look too bad. What's your view on SP3? Cool. Good. So it's not too bad. I think it's my computer. All right. Just keep putting in the chart. And like I said, if you want to ask a question, feel free. It may be lagging a bit. Oh, I see what you're talking about now. Give me 1 second. I've been silly. I've got a trading view, which I just noticed. Now that's better, isn't it? John, that's what you were talking about before, weren't you? Apologise for that. I've got the wrong view on the streamer, but you'll see. That should be better in a second. Good. All right. The pennies dropped. All right, let's so that's elders there. If you didn't see that last candle, there it is. DCC, all right, we'll get into all that in a minute. So the others that we're looking at, APT, that's going well. You can see APT there. Actually, let me just get them up here. TAW, Tor, old Tor boy. That's going nice. That's still kicking on. We've taken a partial on that. Still kick back up to highs. Want to see that extend. I want to see that continue. See if we can keep pushing up from here. That'd be good. We've got MGE, which we've taken a partial. It's just got through these previous highs. Just I think it was 299. We've got up here, 299. Pushed up through there a couple of days ago. That must have been Thursday. Backed off from there. But it looks like if we can just get this move up continue, the weekly is still, look, that's a pretty solid move up. So that's why we're happy to take partial, probably a bit too early at 294, but that was just like taking it prior to the highs, so you're not mucking around. You don't never put a partial exit smack on the highs. If you're going to take it, you might as well take it a touch below to make sure you get that fill, or just watch it with your finger on the trigger. So this one here, if it can keep going, that'd be great. Got our stop locked in, I think it's at 282, if I'm right. It could be around 282, so locked in for a gain on the second half anyway. That's going well. RMD, ResMed, that's looking ready and raring to continue. I don't mind this price action, so that weekly, you can see it's starting to get the extensions higher, getting a bit stronger, whereas this price action, so you go from left to right, it's had a good move up, and that's a big washout, putting a lot of traders back on the sidelines. Took a long time through here to consolidate, mid 2015 to mid 2016, just where it popped up again. Dropped down again to retest those lows, and it's been starting to head higher. You can see just that curving action. It's starting to curve higher as the lower highs, sorry, the higher lows are not as low, if that's making sense. So what we're doing is not pulling back quite as much and going on with it. So it's starting to go a bit more vertical. So if that's the case, I'd expect this to go on with it, go through that 1120 mark and just spike up to new highs. And then we'll see, we've taken a partial 1115 on that. I don't remember where our entry was, it's below 10. Taken a partial on that, which is good. And I'm really just waiting for it. If that can pop up through the highs, I'd like to tighten the risk up to, somewhere below 1060 on that, just to see if it can continue on through those highs and see if it gets on with it and it's just really starts to get a bit more vertical, then we may just close it out, because things like that don't continue forever. It's always good. Well, I think it's good just to take the opportunity while it's there. There's others that are more controlled, that it's a really deep set trend, whereas this is more euphoria. If they start going vertical, start really spiking up. Otherwise, you tend to find that things that do spike up quite hard have more of a complex correction, a deeper correction than what you think, and they get a lot of people caught out. The euphoria of people who buy it in late are getting cleaned back out of the market again. Whereas if it's that sort of 45 trend where it just trends higher, higher, higher. If you can see that on if we can draw it up, you know what I'm saying. It just trends higher, higher lows, higher highs, and it's nice and controlled. They're the deep, the well entrenched trends, and that's what you really want to see. The other one, APT, we've just done that. MGE done that. NIA, that's going quite well. We're at 68. It's at 70 now. Look, I think that's looking good. I liked it because the weekly trend's looking good. This is a higher low. I want to see it just build on the weekly. You got this little spike up. I think we're going to get that if we can get it from here. Just spike up through these highs at 80 up to 90. That'd be great. And that's what we're looking for on that one. Maybe hold around that 70, 68 mark and then start to go again. If we can get this type of price action, or even this, where it doesn't come back, it doesn't pull back that much, it holds up near those highs and then starts dragging in a few more people as it gets a bit excited and take out those highs at 80 on its way to 90. But you can see it's got a bit extended. It's a bit ahead of itself at the moment. You can see by the stochastics in overbought conditions. So maybe a bit of heat to come out of that, but I'd like this heat if the market goes sideways rather than has a deep correction lower. If you can understand what I'm saying there. All right. Well, that's it from us on what we're looking at the moment. It's been... I'm just trying to see... the other one, while we're on that topic of kicking yourself, I don't know if anyone managed to take Waddle Health, WHA. Look at that. The volume's really solid. You can see it dropped off through here. It was solid when we had that little perk up, just through $1. And then the next few months, the volume dropped off. It held, but it held at high low. So when we're looking at it around here, just below $1, that's another one. Just kicking yourself that it's gone on, and it's still going on strong now. It's getting a bit. That's one that it is getting a bit vertical. It's a bit ahead of itself. So if you need it to continue, if it's going to be a longer term established trend, I think that's got to do a bit of work, even if it spends the next few months going sideways, or just putting a few of these buys, the late buys, back on the sidelines, taking a bit of heat out of that market, go sideways for a bit, and then start building a bit like this. Which, if that's the case, you're better off being out of the market, being out of this, and just watching from the sidelines. But like I said, if you're in this one, you've taken a partial, great. If not, I would suggest really tighten up on your partial, at least take something off on that one, and just see if there's somewhere nice that you can lock in your risk on the second, the second remaining, where is if you do get taken out, you know that's going to go more of a corrective phase, and the market can go sideways with this, then you're out, and then just continue to watch it, because it's a good little stock. That price action was beautiful. Yeah, but kicking. Now let's go through what we're looking at. Who was first? Was it Colin? Was it? You had something in there, Colin. SP3. Well, let's look at that then. Yeah, that's true. It's just kicking on strong, isn't it, Helen? Where do you get that volume data from? I don't tend to look at it as such. I just look at the price action. So, ooh. Now, Colin, what's your story on this one? It looks good. I've just seen a little setup where, is this everything? So this is a newie, Spectre Limited. What do they do? Don't mind me if an alert comes out on this later. Come on. Go on, old boy. There we go. So currently operates in Australia's security surveillance industry, with a specific focus on solar-powered security camera systems. So these guys look to be fairly new to the game. When they float, it looks like that's all the data. Yep. So that's everything. When was that? That was on the 1st of August, a few months now. Now that, you can see that, that's a lot of probably the IPO or the pre-IPO, sorry, it is IPO, isn't it? Or seed capital traders that have got in nice and early, have taken the opportunity. I don't know what the float price was, if anyone knows that. Yeah, do you know what the float price was, the IPO price, Colin? Because it might have opened up quite high. If it's down at, say, 25 cents, you're down here. People are bought into it at 25 cents. It's opened up here. They've taken the opportunity really to take some off the table and lock in some gains. And you can see that it's probably just washed out a few of these people. And it's really only the believers that are in still. The believers in the product, in the company. Okay, great, Helen. Yeah, so it looks like the believers in, but what we're seeing just recently, if we can get that screen snapshot, is that it's starting to show some good signs. So this is where, okay, this move down, it's probably washed out your float, your IPO, your seed capital traders, washed them out. We found a bit of a base through here at around that 25 cents. Don't be surprised if that was the actual float price, around 25, and then we started to lift. You can see this nice little pop up here, little high low here, another little high low, and that's just worked its way up. Then we backed off, 1, 2, 3 legs lower. We built a longer term, so that's more of your corrective action that we're looking for. After, this is your original leg up. We've only coming off the low, so really only one. This could go straight down, you never know. But when you see, what we're always looking for is that high low. Once we got that secondary high low, that's where I like to do my trades. I like to see, and that's just evidence that longer term buyers, shorter term buyers, they're all coupled together, and they're happy to buy at higher prices and not going to sit and wait to get down to 25 to buy at limit down there. They're willing to jump in at higher prices because they either believe in the stock, they like the story, and there's a few other reasons why they're getting it. So this is the psychology behind it. We're not talking any indicators. Pretty much that what you can apply there is what we're trying to talk about, supply demand dynamics of trading, rather than just your traditional technical analysis, if I can spit that out, of MACDs, you know, your stochastics, all that sort of stuff. You can pretty much sit there with the charts, the candles, and your volume, and you can get a good clear picture of what's happening. You can just draw your lines from there. But you can see the supply there, and you can see potentially what people are doing just by the movement of the candles. And that's what we're talking about, what we try to sort of, you know, mainly get across. Yeah, we'll do. Yeah, well, that's true. Now, it's always good to look at a bit of everything. If you're meaning fundamentals as well, or you're talking about more indicators on the chart. But it's good to have a bit of a story. You're always going to see what story they're doing, and even here we go. This has the news, so what I tend to do a lot is just flick through what news. Being fairly new, there's not a lot of news through here, but just reading through, doing a bit of due diligence on that, and just seeing what they're saying, what's being released. If it's all quite positive, I tend to just go through what on those big updays, what's happening on the updays. Annual general meeting there, trading update. So you've got this one here. It's just slow to come through there, mate. But anyway, when it comes through, let's not worry about that. Just reading what they're actually doing. If it's been, yeah, having a couple of comments that's triggering buying in the market, and it's been quite positive news flow that's coming through, I'm happy just to stick with my charts there and just checking out what's happening after that. And if I can find where my charts are, here we go. And then I just added into what, you know, the psychology of probably what's happening with the trading. Delisting SP1. Just SP3 or SP1? Have I got the right stock? Or you got the wrong stock, Helen? Where are you, Colin? SP3. There you go. You're looking at the wrong one, Helen, maybe. Alright, SP3. Alright, good. You need a coffee, Helen. I'm up to my third, so I'm on the ball, sort of. Anyway, so we can see that, like I said, if we get back up our little chart, you can see here, the key level for me now is that just through here at 35, and you can see that we've got the potential just to break through those. We just popped through it and then finished lower. Spent the last couple of days going sideways, and today we look like we're on the verge of just pushing up through 36. If that's the case, you can see that we held that higher low at around 28. We're starting to work our way back up again, which means you'd probably be targeting at least 42 and above. And that way, I think this is the start of potentially a nice, strong, healthy leg higher, right up to maybe even back up to 50 and through. And that's where you might start getting starting to get a bit of a run on, and see if we can get up through 50 and start getting, you know, towards that dollar mark. And a lot of times IPOs do that. They will float. And I used to do it myself. We used to get on a few that would float, be quite strong. This is back in mid-2000s, say 2005, 6, 7. In the mining boom, you just get on an IPO, they'd float at 25. You'd see if you can ride up to around $1, anywhere between the 70 cents and $1, because pretty much all you had to do there, all the company had to do is pretty much put a marker in the ground, get their land. If it's next to another plot, you know, their plot of land's next to, say, a big company that's already proven resources or have been drilling and getting resources, people will jump on board and just run it up, and you get that initial euphoria where they think it's going to be the next big thing. This is when all the mining stocks were hot. You just jump into it, ride it up, get out, book your profit, and move on to the next one. And that's what a lot of these IPOs do. You get in early, they'll sold the story, they jump in, they'll start taking, a lot of them will take the opportunity to book some gains, especially if it opens up strong. And then that secondary move up can be quite strong and quite healthy if it's got a very good story to it. And that's where what you're saying, Nendo, was going through just the fundamentals and just reading up on the story and seeing what it's doing. All right, so that one, that looks good. I think you've got a nice little chart on that one, Colin. It looks great. If you like the story, look, it could be worth a go. I'm inclined to be looking at it through 36 and a half. then you know exactly you can put your risk down at 32. You're not risking too much, and just see if you can push up through 42, up to 50 and above. What was next? Look at all. Yep. Yeah. Yeah, there's it goes back to the old debate between fundamentals. I'm just looking at your Zan, your comment there. The fundamentals as opposed to technicals. I look at my technicals differently now. I used to look at a lot of the indicators and things like that. Now I look at it from a more of a psychology base. You know, what's the interaction between the buyers and sellers? Not so much as it crossed. I mean, I know people that, okay, it's crossed the MACD, the MACD's crossed up, or it's crossed the moving average, let's buy. And that sort of stuff, that's not a solid signal to me. And that's where that kind of trading can get chopped around. I think, you know, people can get chopped up that way a bit too easy. And it's like textbook trading, so you know that a lot of their traps, your technical traps, are set on the basis of textbook trading, if that makes sense. They know what people are going to be doing, the bulk of your retail traders. And then just hit, you know, when you get that false breakout, or we call it the washout of the highs, you know that it's going to drag in a few buys, breakout traders, and then they get turned around and washed back out. Not so much in stocks. I know I've said that before. It's a lot of it is more in, you know, your foreign exchange, your futures, and bits and pieces like that, where there's a bit more volatility in them. But it's still one of those things just to watch out for. Now when we talk about fundamental, the only reason I will glance over fundamentals more than anything. I'll look at what news flow's been coming out. I don't really look at what's happening. I trust that the people who are buying it off fundamentals are in the market if they bought it. Otherwise, you've got a whole bunch of people when it's going up not buying into it. As soon as they buy, it's showing up on the chart. So that's what I like about your fundamental. But I always like to see if it's a good story. If it's a solid story with, you know, just as an educated guess, whether it's got a good fundamental story for growth. Otherwise, you look at the story, the fundamentals behind it, you're going, it's not really that solid, but the market's going up. It's probably a bit more euphoric than anything else. And then if you're going to buy into it, you can get caught when it spikes back down and it does nothing for the next few years. I don't want to get caught doing that on those, you know, those charts that just spike up, pull back, do nothing for a long time. And it happens time and time again. But if it's got a good story behind, one step back, it used to do that with the miners. They all spike up, euphoric trading. It kicks off hard. Everyone jumps in. They don't want to miss the big story, but they really have not put a drill into the hole. So no one knows what's down there. As soon as it gets sold back down again, that's when the real business starts. A lot of those miners, I say that because I know miners are a bit better than the others, but then they've got to start drilling the holes, testing, seeing what's coming up, seeing what sort of results they're getting, and then expanding their drill areas to try to define the resource. And once they've got the defined resource, you can go into JORC. You can get a JORC resource, a defined resource, so you know exactly what you can sell and the quality. And that's where you can put more of a fundamental base on it, but that could take a long time. So that's where you don't want to get caught with your fundamental. Let's say just going straight off pure technicals. Does that make sense to everyone? That's my little view anyway. Anyway, I think it's very important for everyone. I find it's very important just to have a bit of a look at both. Like I said, I glance over always glance over what they're doing. Just click on that news, see what the profile is. Okay, this one they do currently operates in Australia security surveillance. Okay, and see what the news flow of late's been. You know, it's had some good news results of the meeting, little things that have kicked it up, and why have they kicked it up? And you see the good news flow's it's been kicking on. So okay, then it's really, for me, it's just a kick. Then going back to the charts, that takes all of a few minutes. You know, I'm lazy too. I don't want to be sitting there going reading through everything. I get bored too easy. I love looking at charts. So for me, that works well. It's horses for courses too. God, I get sidetracked quite easy, don't I? What was next? Before we get to DCC, is that next? Now there's one that's just gone on hard, and if you, I don't want to click on what they do. Actually, let's just click on to see if it comes up. There's a blockchain-based software solutions company. Interesting. Sorry. Let's get rid of that. All right, so that looks... It's in a hot area, that's for sure. Go back to my charts. That one there, there's not much to say about that. If you've got that, great. If you bought that in, see this setup is beautiful. If you just follow my cursor, you can see that the market sort of made lows here, started kicking up and had a bit of a washout low. It didn't go up too hard, you know, when we're pushing up around this zone, and it pulled back, built a higher low, got a bit more excited, and then that washed out a lot of traders, started holding a higher low again. This in here, awesome little entry. If you got it up through this high at 7.4, you can see that was an ideal entry, like just what we like to look for, just after that little pop up through 10, and it's spent a few months just washing out, but it's holding higher lows. So the buyers there are stepping in at higher prices. They're happy to step in at higher prices. They're happy to pay more for that stock because they believe in the story. They think it's great. And then you can see what's happened. It's just kicked on really strong and it's gone straight up through, what, got to 29, 28 and a half. At the moment, for me, that's too extended for me. I think that's got to do a decent correction. And that, from what we've seen in the past, that one's 1.5 to 2 months. This one's a couple of months. So if that's the case, I'd be out just sitting on the sidelines. You don't know where it's going to go to. So I'd be happy just to sit on the sidelines for this and just watch to see what happens from here. See if it can wash out a few more traders. If you've got it. Nandor, do you have it? Yeah. Well, if you've got it, look awesome. If you've got it somewhere nice and early before 10 and just after 10, great. Just tighten it up a bit. I'm guessing, depending on what you want to do, where you think it's going. But that, yeah, that could just, we call it back and fill, when you got lower lows, lower highs, pushing back, and just that more corrective action as we get that little spike up might bring in more buyers, makes a lower high, has to pull back, and then you get a lot of people washed out. So it's just washing some of these late buyers out of the market. I want to see that before I start to, you know, if I'm looking to get into it again. Where do you have it from, Nando? Is it lower, higher? It's nice anyway. No reason to exit yet, but there is a good reason to be on your toes. What was the next one anyway? Well, I'm waiting there. DCC DTZ. Let's get onto that. Oh, now that's looking quite nice. You can see that action if we go to the weekly, maybe. It's a bit hard to see on the weekly, but this is good price action. It's pushed all the way down. What we're starting to see is higher lows hold. So you can see that move down, and then we just recently, last month, built a high low through here, just above 12, and we started to push up and take out some of those lower highs in this region, which is nice. So you're seeing that buyers are starting to step in at higher prices. It gapped up too. From what happens from here, who knows? I'd like to see it do a bit of work. It's just about to get up through the highs at 23. Got the 22.5 today, so it may struggle to get up there. You might see a bit of sideways corrective action just to wash out a few people, but hold some high lows, and then you'd see from there, the longer the time it spends doing it, I think the more buyers you're going to start seeing step up to the plate and jump in. Just trying to get my stream back up there. Yeah, but that's looking good. That's looking like it's got some good potential to really go on with it and start attacking 30, even up towards that 40 mark before it might run into a bit of resistance. But we'll see how it goes. Am I still on board? Yep, still on board. That's good. Now, what's next? IPO, we've gone through. Rick. Now, the daily here, not too convincing for me. And there's two reasons, but we'll just take a step back firstly. The weekly's actually not too bad. So I'll go through the daily, and this is a tough one. This is when you got a bit of a conflicting story between the daily and the weekly charts. Again, not really looking at what they do, but for me, this is a bit of concern that it's just pushed up. You can see that move up, pull back, built a higher low here, went up, bang, straight down and through. So some bad news. It's pushed it down through that level at 135, and then it started to try to correct, and you can see that for me is looking more of a short. So for me, what we tend to look for, you got that move down. This corrective sort of action is more correcting a move down, if that makes sense. It's not something that I'd feel too confident in buying into. And this is where we like to see one move up, does that, and then boom, another leg down, and then start to look for some higher lows. And then I think it's washed out enough people, and then start to look at an opportunity to buy. Let's get rid of all that. Does that make sense there, Zhang? Or everyone else, any questions just on what I mean there? That for me could take out this leg down at 120. So the daily, like I said, the daily is not as strong as what it could be. But if you flick it over to the weekly charts, let's just go back, see if we can get back. Okay, the weeklies are actually not too bad. That's more of good strong leg up, going from left to right. You've had that good rally up, and we've had to correct. More of that complex correction, we say, with lower highs, lower lows, just washing a few people, putting them back on the sidelines. Then we've got a little higher low just in here above $1.20, and that's led to that move up, which has pushed up through $1.60. So it's fell short of those highs at around $1.70, and then we've just that corrective action. So it's got this from the daily chart could easily pop down, retest down towards 30, 125, 130, even all the way back down to 120. It could even just pull back on the daily, find a decent higher low, and then start building and go again. So I think for me, it'd be a touch too early. The weekly's looking not too bad at the moment, but the daily's my concern on this one anyway. Does that make sense? Information, what do we got here? Show me. All right. I think was that it. I covered everything so far. So just checking through. I think the talk's got ahead of me. PPS, Colin. I think I missed that one, didn't I? Premium is one that I actually like. I've got it on my speed dial up the top there. Premium, if anyone doesn't know, they do the platforms for financial advisors. It's more of that reporting, I think, where a lot of financial advisors, a lot of like equity traders use it just for portfolio management, to spit out reports of how they're going, dividend reports, all that sort of stuff. So it takes in all the data, filters all for them, and spits it out the other end on their portfolios. So there, I think Premium, a bit by bit, I mean, you can see that volume's increased, especially here. They keep increasing funds under management, so they're doing something right. They've got a good product, it seems like, and it's getting supported by a lot of people, a lot of financial advisors, maybe a lot of funds as well. And I think time after time they keep saying that their funds under management have increased. They've increased, so that company itself, I think, fundamentally is looking really good. Technically, what do you say about that? That's going up. You can see there's little spikes up. So I think this is one at the moment. And the thing is, it's not a high price stock. It's only 65 cents. So I could say that it may be getting ahead of itself, but it's got a lot of room to move on the upside. Because I think it's one of those psychology things. What it is for me anyway, I'd freely admit it. Anything below $1, I think, is relatively cheap, and I like that. It's just this price action. Sooner or later, it's going to break that type of price action. The psychology is going to kick in, and people are going to start buying it, happy to buy it at higher prices, and it's going to get a bit of a run on. But I think for now, you can see that if this is your average, it's just been gliding higher, grinding higher. Every time it gets ahead of itself, it reverts back to the mean. Then that would suggest to me where it is at the moment, around that 65 mark, it's probably got some reversion to the mean type of trading to come. It might take a few months, or it might, let's just draw it up. That's not what I wanted. If you can see there, all right. So that's sort of been your average move. And if we can draw, we'll just draw it in a different color. So your average is something through there, say. And you can see every time it gets ahead of itself, it comes back down, reverting back to the mean, you know, finds a nice high low and starts building again and gets back up, more reversion to the mean, pops back up, and then you can see it start building. So this is the most recent high low. It's worked this move up off. So it's beautiful, but if that's the case, if you're looking for history to repeat itself, I would be looking for more of that reversion to the mean. So we're popping up, maybe a bit of a pullback and looking for that base to build, and then building off a higher low, something like this, maybe off this, you know, like this type of trading. If that makes sense, you can see it. It's been beautiful just in here. We haven't seen any of that wash out of these late buys yet. In saying that, it could easily just keep going. When that's the problem with trading, you can watch things just go on without you, and then you're kicking yourself. But you really got to stick to your rules, man, because there's always going to be times when you jump in. So you might look at this one, for instance, go, oh, it's gone on without me. Next one, I've got the same scenario. I'll just jump in and then bang, it reverts back on you. You're sitting there and wasting your time in the market, or it just doesn't come back again, and you're going to lock in a loss. So it's important just to stick to your rules, and sometimes you got to throw in the towel and just think, okay, it's gone on without me. Let's just leave it. Look on to something else. But keep it on the watch list. I went at 61 today. Yeah. Have I got the weekly? I have got a weekly. Bugger. 61, I'm guessing it's just through that little high there. That's great. Yeah, it's a nice little mover, isn't it? I'm trying to think of... There was one I sent out just the other day, and basically about 30 minutes after I sent out the alert, it just kicked off strong. I just can't remember what it was. But anyway, that's not it. Anyway, if there's anything else, have I missed? I've got through everything, I think. DMP a higher low Friday. Dominoes. Well, that's not actually looking too bad. That could be interesting. Oh, look, longer term, it still could have a bit of work to do, but, or for me anyway, Helen. If it gets up through this little high, could be really nice. 48.86. That's a long way to go, really. But that's holding some higher lows in here. If it comes up through there, it might be a little trade. You can hold a stop just below that low. It looks actually not quite nice. So that's everything, guys. We might call it a day there. We got through that okay. It wasn't too bad. I think it's looking like the issue. I think we're uploading okay. I'm looking at it through my phone, the stream anyway, and it's actually not too bad. The stream doesn't seem to be lagging too much, but I think when I'm watching it, I normally just watch it on my computer. I think the download is so bad here that I'm actually seeing it more delayed than you guys. So I think it's actually a lot more delayed than it is. So sorry, it was a bit of a mess today. We'll get it organised. I'll get myself organised on Thursday. But yeah, thanks for joining me, guys. If you've got any questions at all, if there's something you want to chat about, feel free to send through an email to support@tradesetup.com.au, and we can go through that. If there's something you think could be really good between now and then that you might want to take a look at, we can all discuss it. Then just whack it through, like I said, to the email address, support@tradesetup.com.au, and then we will, discuss it when we come in on Thursday. So yeah, guys, thank you very much for joining me. I'll speak to you again on Thursday. Have a good couple of days, and I'll see if I can get on the Optus and kick their butts a bit. I can act tough when I'm on the phone, but no one listens to me anyway. Yeah, the new palace. I've just made my man cave, so I want to get it tarted up, and I'll show you. We'll have a bit of a view. It's the biggest room I've had for an office. It's great. All right, guys, enjoy.